Welcome to course 38 or course 2, lesson 38. This lesson is going to talk about interpreting graphs. It's going to be a pretty easy lesson. I think you'll be able to see very quickly how to do these pictographs, bar graphs, line graphs, and circle graphs. This is a pictograph showing what looks like a tire to represent 100 tires. Each one of those circles is equal to 100 tires. So when you look at a graph like this, they're divided up into months: January, February, and March. And then so you can tell in January there's 400 tires were sold because there's 4 of those little teeny tires, which each one equals 100. So in A, it asks us that the company Adventure Tire Sales, how many tires did they sell in March? Well, we've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 550, because there's a half there. For B, about how many tires were sold in the first 3 months of the year. How would you solve that? Oh, you just add them all up. Let's go ahead and start in January. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. So 1,550. So our two answers are 550 and 1,550. Pretty easy stuff. I think everyone understands how to read that type of graph. I would hope so. Here's another graph, bar graph. It asks about how many cans were collected by the students in room 14. So the first thing you need to do is you need to look at how they've labeled the graph. So if you look on the left-hand side, you can see that that represents the number of aluminum cans, and the bottom represents the room number. So if we go back to A and we go about how many cans were collected by students in room 14, can you see how many there were? Hopefully you went to 14 and you went up and saw that there were 8,000 cans collected by room 14. Then it asks, the students in room 16 collected about how many cans if you were to combine 2 other rooms. So what other 2 rooms combined add up to about the same amount of cans as room 16? See if you can do this. Pause the video. Okay, so I'm going to go to room 16. I'm going to come up here and see that there's 8,500. So now I'm going to look at the other 3 rooms. I can see that there's 4,018. That's about half. And then here's 4,500. So those two added together, 4,000 and 4,500, equals 8,500. So I think my answer is rooms 12 and 18. And as you can see, that we're right. So about 8,000 cans for A, and for B it's rooms 18 and 12. Hopefully this stuff is not confusing to you. If it is, please sit down with me in school tomorrow and let's go over it. This is a line graph, and it shows Paul's bowling scores for the last 6 games he played. Each one of these dots represents a score, so there's got to be 6 of them. And you can see down here for the games, there's game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6. Again, the important thing is to look at the labels. Left-hand side is the number of points scored. So did Paul ever bowl a 200 game? No, he didn't. If he did, there'd be a dot somewhere up here in the 200s. He didn't. The lowest score that Paul ever scored was 160. And you can see that was his very first game. So what was Paul's score for game 3? It'd be 175. It's halfway between 170 and 180. And then if in general, were Paul's scores improving or getting worse? What do you think? Was he getting better as he bowled throughout the night, or did he get tired and start scoring lower scores? He got better, because you can see that the graph tends to go up. Game 4 was a bit of a struggle for him, but other than that, he improved as he went. All right, let's look at this pie chart. It says, first of all, let's look how it's labeled. We've got, these are how this young lady spends her day. Aisha, she spends 12 hours at home. She spends 8 hours in school, and she spends 4 hours someplace else. Those all added together equal 24 hours. And that's how many hours there are in a day. So it asks us, how many hours are included in this graph? Well, we know that, 24. So our answer to A is 24. Now, what fraction of Aisha's day is spent at school? Well, how many hours does she spend at school? That's right, she spends 8 hours at school. How many hours are there in a day? Again, correct, 24 hours. Now, we can reduce that fraction, and it goes down to 1/3 of her day is spent in school. Could we do that visually if we just went like this? Could we see that that's approximately 1/3? I think we probably could have. And we know that 24 divided by 8 is 3, which is also 1/3. So there's a couple of ways we could have solved that one. Here are your tickets in the door. You need to do problems 1, 4, 11, A, B, and C. If you have any questions, bring them to class. Thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you tomorrow.